In this video we will see some of the most surprising things that are found in the most unexpected places. Number 1. Mysterious Mingo Island. At first glance, you wouldn't imagine that there are hundreds of homes on the tiny island of Mingo. This rocky island is located in Lake Victoria, between Uganda and Kenya. Because the island is located in an area rich in fishing, there is a dispute between the two countries over its sovereignty. The island is no more than 4,000 square meters, but is home to more than 500 people. The houses on this small rock are built with metal sheets and most of the people live in poverty. To this day, the number of inhabitants of this island continues to increase. Number 2. The most isolated church in the world. There are many sacred places that rise high in the mountains, where the faithful come to worship their divinity, but none compares to the Catskill Column. The highest and loneliest monastery on the planet is a church that crowns an impressive 40-meter-high limestone rock, located about 200 kilometers west of Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. Today, most of the monks who live there have to climb a metal ladder that is fixed to the side of the rock to reach the church. They make this risky climb every day to offer their prayers. The Catskill Column is not a tourist destination, but rather a space for meditation and worship for monks. In fact, only men from a specific religious order can climb the column, and women have never been able to access it in all of history. The first monks who settled at the top of the column did so in the 10th and 11th centuries. There they lived in total isolation and dedicated every day of their lives to praying. Nowadays, however, the monks only climb the column to pray in the church, but they reside in the monastery below the column. Number 3. The last hope of humanity. You may never have the opportunity to see the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, but there is a very important reason why it was built in such an isolated place. This impressive vault is hidden inside a mountain on a distant island in the Svalbard archipelago, located between Norway and the North Pole. It is like Noah's Ark, but instead of animals, it stores almost all kinds of seeds that exist in the world. It can hold up to 4.5 million seed samples, but for now it only contains about 1.5 million crop varieties from every corner of the planet. The Global Seed Vault was created to ensure that we have a backup or reserve of all the world's crops in case we suffer a global disease or catastrophe. At some point in the future, this vault will ensure that we will still have the natural resources needed to grow food on Earth. If a mutated fungus infects all the corn, wheat, and rice grown around the world, we still have the seeds stored inside the Svalbard Vault as a last resort for new crops. Number 4. Church revived by ghosts. In the small town of Lakova, in the Czech Republic, stands a church that holds a chilling secret. This is the Church of San Jorge, a 14th century construction that witnessed the faith and history of its inhabitants. But in 1968, everything changed during a funeral. The roof of the church collapsed, causing panic among those attending. The locals interpreted the event as a sign of a curse and abandoned the temple forever. The church was exposed to the passage of time and to the looting of the communists, who took away its paintings, statues, and other valuable objects. However, in 2014, a young art student brought him back to life. Looking for a place for his final year project, he came across the ruined church and saw an opportunity in it. With the permission of the temple manager, he created several plaster sculptures covered with white cloth, which he placed on the benches as if they were worshippers praying. The ghostly figures made a great impression on those who saw them from the outside, and soon the church became a global tourist attraction. The students' work was intended to pay tribute to the Germans who had prayed there before being expelled after World War II, but it also managed to spark interest in the history and restoration of the church. Number 5. Abandoned doll village in Japan. There are many remote and lonely places, but none as chilling as Nagoro. This town, located on the island of Shikoku, looks like something out of a horror movie. Its inhabitants are not people, but straw dolls, about 350 in total. They were all made by a woman who returned to the town after many years and found that almost all of them were gone or dead. To fill the void, she began creating dolls representing former neighbors and placing them in the places where they used to be. Nowadays, dolls seem to have a life of their own. Some are sitting in homes, others in school classrooms, and others in different corners of the town. Touring Nagoro was a unique experience, as long as you are not afraid of dolls. Number 6. The Last House on Holland Island. This house was the last one left standing on Holland Island, an island that disappeared underwater. This Victorian home was built in 1888 on Holland Island in the Chesapeake Bay. The island was named after its first owner, Daniel Holland, a British colonialist. It was not inhabited by anyone until the late 1850s, when it became a flourishing community of fishermen and farmers. Many people saw the potential of the island, and in the early 20th century, Holland Island became one of the most populated islands in the region. No one living on the island suspected that their home would soon be engulfed by the rising sea. At that time, it was a prosperous community and no one thought they would have to leave their homes. It wasn't until 1914 that some people noticed the water rising slowly and the shoreline eroding so quickly. As they arrived, the fishermen decided to move to the mainland, but some people tried to save the island. Unfortunately, it was all in vain. In the end, almost everyone left, but in 1955, the island was purchased by Mr. Stephen White, a church minister who thought he could save the island, or at least what was left of it. He tried everything he could to stop the advance of the water, but the island's fate was sealed. By 2010, this Victorian house finally collapsed and succumbed to weathering and erosion. Although there is nothing left of Holland Island to explore today, its history will never be forgotten. Number 7. The mysterious rock sphere of Bosnia. A team of archaeologists was baffled when they discovered huge spherical stones in a forest in Bosnia. No one knows where the stone circles came from or how they were formed. The heaviest of the circles weighed about 30 tons and measured up to about 1.5 meters in diameter. No analysis has been done to confirm the composition of the stones, but their reddish-brown color suggests that they are partially composed of iron. Archaeologists were amazed and intrigued by the existence of these strange stones, because there is much to learn about them. Some think that the Bosnian stone circles were created by a forgotten civilization more than 100 years ago, but the lack of other evidence makes this conclusion difficult. If this theory were proven true, the Bosnian stone circles would be the oldest stone spheres created by humans to date. Archaeologists still cannot determine the origin of the Bosnian spheres, however, many conspiracies were ignited by the discovery of the stones. Some people think that the Bosnian spheres were not created by humans, but by extraterrestrial creatures. Number 8. Hand from the Atacama Desert. In the extreme south of Peru and northern Chile is the Atacama Desert, the driest place in the world outside the poles. There, rain is so scarce that there are areas that have never received a drop. For this reason, few venture to explore this inhospitable and burning territory, and that is why it is also surprising to find a huge sculpture in the middle of nowhere. This is the Hand of the Desert, a work of art that challenges the desert with its presence. This gigantic stone hand emerges from the ground as if it wanted to reach for the sky. It measures 11 m high and can be seen from afar, contrasting with the arid and desolate landscape. It is an attraction for travelers traveling along Route 5, which is part of the Pan American Highway. Many stop to take photos and leave their mark in the form of graffiti or drawings on the sculpture. The author of this work is the Chilean sculptor Mario Irarezabal. The Hand of the Desert is one of his most famous and symbolic works, and according to him, each visitor can give their own interpretation of it. Some say it represents loneliness, others say it is a gesture of farewell or protest. To keep this work of art in good condition, cleaning and restoration is carried out almost every year. The Hand of the Desert is a testament to human creativity in a place where life seems impossible.